Yoga, the Point of It All by Brian Afton. Yoga Betsy Discourse number 22. Even though our schools and popular culture say that people are the same everywhere, the beginning student of yoga would do well to recognize the fact that we most definitely are not. People have very different kinds of bodies, very different mentalities, and they may need to approach life in very different ways. At every turn, you will be confronted with pictures and posters of yoga gods and goddesses doing all sorts of extremely impressive contortions which most people cannot do and probably shouldn't be trying to do. These people are generally genetically endowed individuals who've been training to do this since they were very young. And in most instances, these extreme contortions would do you very little good, even if you did do them. The postures get all the press, but they're the least important part of yoga. They're not unimportant by any means, but they are not an end in themselves. There is a reason for doing them, which gets lost in the media. Additionally, the media is generally the most impressed by the least important postures. In truth, the more trivial and easy a posture appears to be to a beginner, the more important it probably is. A real yoga practice will be rooted in an authentic tradition, including three elements: body, mind, and spirit or energy. This is generally referred to as integrative hatha yoga by the media. The asanas or yoga postures are very important, but not for the reasons most people think they are. They're not an end in themselves. In the yoga posture, the body is stressed, and we learn how to process that stress. To do this, we must learn to be in touch with ourselves, and eventually we will be able to control not only our bodies but our minds. Consequently, strength is a very important factor in yoga, but not the kind of strength most people think of. In yoga, we're interested in something called useful strength. This is the kind of strength which goes all the way through and which will keep us healthy for our entire lives, not the useless kind of muscle-bound strength illustrated on the covers of muscle-building magazines. Probably the most unexpected and unintuitive law of nature is that we will be unable to relax unless we're strong enough to do it. Without the requisite strength, we can't relax because our bodies will not leave us alone, and we certainly will not be able to meditate or to even concentrate very well. In the minds of the general public, meditation is a tool for relaxation or for tuning out the world and maybe even for dropping out of life, and nothing could be further from the truth. Developing an understanding of our consciousness is the major focus of yoga. The postures are merely a tool used to get in touch with our bodies and our minds. As it turns out, we have two minds, an objective conscious mind and another mind called a subconscious mind, which we are not normally aware of. One of these minds, the subconscious mind, is an awfully lot stronger than the other one, and over 99% of the time we do not have the slightest idea of what it's doing. This is a matter of some importance. Typically, we use our objective consciousness, or what most people think of as being free will, to accomplish certain things. What is not recognized is the fact that while we may consciously decide to do something, it is nevertheless always the subconscious mind that actually does it. We may decide to pick up a pencil, but the actual doing of this involves hundreds of internal activities inside our bodies that we are completely unaware of. What is even less obvious and far more important is this. Your subconscious mind is not only executing your thoughts, it is building them into your body. An example of this is to be found in the case of a boy learning to ride a bicycle. At one point in time, we have a boy who cannot ride a bicycle. A moment later, we have the same boy who has learned how to ride a bicycle. Only the thing is, they're not the same boy at all. The boy who can ride the bicycle is no stronger than the one who could not, but his body is forever different. His thoughts and what he has learned were hardwired into his body. It will never be the same again. In 40 years, he will still be able to ride a bicycle even if he never does it again. The power of this process must not be underestimated. Your subconscious mind is built to take instructions, and it inexorably builds them into you. We are profoundly affected by our own thoughts and actions. Our bodies and our minds are changed by them. Each thing we think or do creates a subtle impression in the mind. With time, these impressions become habits, and with more time, these habits can become more powerful than our free will. This is so because the habits are executed continuously and automatically. They're done before we've even thought about doing them. In fact, it is these impressions and habits, which are called samskaras and vasanas in yoga, that are actually controlling most people's lives most of the time. This goes well beyond changing your body. It changes the way your mind works too. Most people are in effect unconscious a good part of the time. Not only do we mistake our distorted perceptions for reality, but the very way in which we think becomes distorted by the samskaras and vasanas that have found their way into our subconscious. Relatively few people have even the slightest idea of who and what they are and what life is really about. Moreover, they're not going to find out until they gain control of their own bodies and their own minds. The whole point of yoga is to get in touch with the glowing inner light of the true self. And later, having found that, it will be possible to see the greater light. The tool we use to do this with is called meditation. Namaste.